Sonoma County, which sits literally just over the Mayacamas mountain range from Napa Valley, is distinct because it is the largest premium appellation in the state, representing about 6% of all the wine that's made. To go from San Francisco, it takes you about an hour to get to the southernmost part, but you can keep going and going and going all the way to the north. There are a couple of distinctive features that make Sonoma different than other places. First of all, there are the soils. There's a greater diversity of soil types in Sonoma County than almost anywhere in California. This can be attributed to various movements of the tectonic plates. For those of you familiar with earthquakes, you know what I'm talking about, and how soils have shifted over time. Water going in and water going out exponentially make that even more complex. The second element that really provides a distinctive characteristic is the presence or the proximity to the Pacific Ocean. There are literally appellations that sit along the Sonoma coast that are in visual, spitting distance, if you will, of the ocean. The other important factor is that fog comes in on a daily basis, primarily works up the Russian River, and then settles back out over time. This is a moderating effect on the appellation overall and cools it, especially during the summer in the mornings and then the late afternoons. Further, this cooling effect is amplified by the fact that as you go into some of the mountain appellations, the extremes between the high of the day and the low of the day are mitigated by temperature. So you have a very high, what they refer to as diurnal exchange. One of the county's most well-known appellations, of course, is the Russian River Valley. People who don't even know about Sonoma County have all heard of the Russian River Valley. This is an area that literally funnels into the Pacific Ocean, but the fog comes in from the ocean and follows it during the course of the day. This generally cooler climate that we find in the Russian River means that the appellation itself excels primarily in two varieties, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. However, if you move to the eastern part of the appellation, towards what they refer to as the Middle Reach, you can also find some incredible old heritage Zinfandel. One of the unspoken elements about what makes Sonoma really cool compared to a lot of other areas is just the personality of the people there. The vintners are approachable. The people who work in the tasting room, even in the vineyards, are some of the nicest folks that you'll ever meet. There's an informality about the Sonoma County area that is one of its most inviting elements. Russian River Valley Pinot Noir is distinctive, and a lot of that is going to depend on where in the Russian River your vineyards are located. The wine I've selected to you from today is from McMurray Ranch, and McMurray Ranch is situated on West Side Road, pretty much right in the Middle Reach. Here we generally anticipate wines that have a much richer, plusher mouthfeel, a lot of red and blue fruit, and a lot of good spicy flavors. Let's see what we actually have. This wine sings. It sings of raspberry, it sings of cranberry, it sings of a little bit of pomegranate, but it does have a riper sort of blue fruit middle palate. There's some boysenberry there. There's a little bit of red and red to blue or black plum there as well. Additional, there's some interesting floral notes. You find some lavender, you find a little bit of jasmine there, and just a little bit of wood, primarily in the form of sandalwood here. Plush, good middle palate, wonderfully, classically Russian River. And if you can't find this specific Russian River Pinot Noir, pretty much any Russian River Pinot Noir will do. Depending on where it's from, might be a little cooler, might be a little bit warmer, but the general profile will be the same. And if you're not feeling like Russian River Pinot Noir, the Chardonnays are awfully good as well. Sonoma County grows Cabernet Sauvignon too. You can find it on Sonoma Mountain, you can find it on Moon Mountain, but most importantly, you can find it in Alexander Valley. From the central part of the Alexander Valley working north, and it starts at roughly the base of the Mayacamas Mountains, you're going to find some of the most delicious Cabernet Sauvignon offerings there. Terroirs here range from sort of benchlands to actual mountains up in the far north. Alexander Valley Cabernets, until you go up into the mountains in the northern end of the valley, tend to be defined by two things. One, there's a plushness. They don't have those really big, hard tannins that we talked about, for example, in Napa Valley in the mountains. They also have a wonderful, at once savory and herbal character. This sort of note of bay leaf or of thyme or of marjoram or something like that is perhaps more akin to almost what you would find in Bordeaux than it would be in, say, Napa Valley, which is really more about the fruit. There's also notes of black olive, there's notes of dark flowers, violet maybe a little bit. This particular wine from Silver Oak winery, it's kind of like an old comfortable pair of jeans. I've known this wine over the decades. It's wonderfully, consistently delicious, always has beautiful fruit, akin to all the savory and herbal flavors I talked about before, enveloped in a wonderfully approachable package. If you can't find this particular wine, of course, most any other Cabernet Sauvignon from Alexander Valley will do. But of course, since this is really all about appellation and Sonoma County is known for its diversity, you should feel free to explore. So if you wanted to have a Cabernet or a Zinfandel from, say, Dry Creek Valley, or go over to Rock Pile or something like that, there's a lot of choice.